Welcome to another episode of Chad Sports Talk. Welcome to Week 12 of the 2025 NFL season. A lot of games are kind of shocking. Teams being in certain positions are kind of shocking. We've seen the Chiefs struggling to make it back to the playoffs. The Ravens started to come back from the depths of the cemetery thanks to the resurrection of Lamar Jackson. We've seen the Patriots being back on top of the East, Denver, Indianapolis, the Bears. You see Carolina on the rise, starting to sniff a division title. So there's a lot of strange nuances going on in the league. And let's go ahead and we'll go over Week 11 really quick and simple, down and dirty. Give you my record, my results. Then we'll dive into Week 12. All right, let's jump back in our time machine here in a minute. Go over Week 11. Week 11, I actually went 12-3, one of my best weeks of the season thus far. Almost rivaling was a Week 1 where I went 12-4. So slightly better because one less game. Really nothing really transpired. I mean, last Thursday the Patriots knocked off the Jets. No surprise there. In Madrid, it was a lot closer than I thought it would be. Mariota actually played the Dolphins very well. They had to go into overtime where Miami had to pick off Mariota to set up a game-winning field goal to end the international series for 2025. We saw Carolina go into hot Atlanta. Penix got knocked out. The game went to OT, and the Panthers ended up winning 30-27. Give me my first loss. Buffalo just outgunned Tampa Bay, 41-32. We saw Houston use a last-second field goal to win in Nashville 16-13. The game in Minnesota, I went with the Vikings because I figured J.J. McCarthy and the rest of the Vikings be a little bit better than the Bears. I haven't quite fully jumped on that bandwagon for Chicago, even though I am, but, I've got 1 foot dragging. It's just me being pessimistic about the Bears. But they had a drive towards the end where Minnesota did, and passing, J.J. passed to Addison for a touchdown and gave the Vikings a 17-16 victory, or lead. They thought it was a victory until the ensuing kickoff, where got him across the 50, ran a few plays, kicked a 50, almost a 50-yarder. I think it was 48 officially, to win the game. Once again, Chicago, being the cardiac Bears, are finding ways to win. Why is it the cardiac monitor just seems to has shifted from the Cardinals to the Bears? Maybe they're just too much Polish sausages to try and intake. Too much beer. But hey, hats off to the Bears. But loss number 2. Packers struggled against the Giants, but ended up winning 27-20. Pittsburgh was way too much for Cincinnati, even though Aaron Rodgers left late in the second quarter with a hand injury to his non-throwing hand. Mason Rudolph stepped in. Pretty much did what he did previously when he was the starter for the Steelers, and led 2 scoring drives as the Steelers were just all over the Bengals, 34-12. The Chargers win to Jacksonville, and the way Jacksonville played last week in Houston, I didn't think they had much in them. They're misguided. All of a sudden, things clicked. Their offense is running at full capacity, and the Chargers fell flat again. Seems to become their moniker. Boy, I just love the word monitor for some reason. Moniker for multiple times this season, where they were just inept. They forgot, get their espresso or something, and just forgot the morning workout, some energy drinks, whatever. Jacksonville crushed them 35-6. Then battle for NFC West was a good showdown between the Seahawks and Rams. Wow. I'm just all over the place. Maybe I need more coffee. But the Rams edge out Seattle 21-19. 49ers in Arizona. Arizona was out Harrison Jr. Like I said, I originally was going to go with Arizona, but because of Harrison Jr. not being able to play, I went with the 49ers. Good thing I did. They crushed them 41-22. Baltimore goes into Cleveland. Edged out the Browns 23-16. Shedeur Sanders finally get it in there. Not that impressive, but we'll see what he does next week because he's been named the starter. Kansas City goes into Denver. I picked Denver in this showdown. The way Kansas City's been kind of floating around, because last year they were just, those 1 point or 1 score games, they were perfect. This year they can't seem to win them. So something just kind of switched somewhere between the defense, offense, or something, where the other teams would figure out how to beat Kansas City. And that's what Denver did. They would hold on and beat KC 22-19 with their own last-second field goal. Philadelphia and Detroit, a very low-scoring affair. Detroit could not find the end zone this game. 3 field goals. But Philly would put up 16 points, as Philly would get past Detroit 16-9. Then on Monday night, Dallas goes into Vegas. I didn't think much of this one. The Raiders, I don't know what's wrong with this franchise. Geno Smith, his receivers are not catching the ball. The defense is trying to do what they can, but Max just all of his efforts for nothing as the Cowboys throttled Vegas 33-16. There you go. 12-3. Like I said, losing that Carolina on the game, Chicago, Minnesota, and the Chargers and Jaguars. So not a bad week. I don't expect that luck to transfer over to Week 12. Week 12, we'll kick things off with 4 teams getting their bye weeks this week. That is Miami, Washington, after their trip in Madrid. And again, spent a little time there. Denver and the LA Chargers will all have the week off. So we'll kick things off down in H-Town when the Houston Texans will take on the Buffalo Bills. And this one should prove kind of interesting. Houston's find themselves very feisty team to try to take on. But right now, C.J. Stroud's still out with concussion. He may be back, maybe not. But Sims has proven to be a very competent backup. He's led him to 2 victories thus far. So nothing wrong with that one. Some issues on that Buffalo offense, and that's the problem with the Bills right now. They're very finicky on the offense. Every so often they'll have these great games where they just rack up the points like they did last week. But the previous week, they were just non-existent. And this is a team you can't do that with the Texans because they find ways. They have that young talent on both sides of the ball that will make you pay if you try to do stuff. But the Bills will have to rely on Cook. They have to give him the ball. They have to have him establish the run. Right now, he has 968-plus yards with 7 touchdowns. Give him the rock. Let him go. Josh Allen would be a nice addition to that running attack. He has over 2,400 yards passing, 18 touchdowns, 7 picks. So he's got to, limit his mistakes on that aspect. But he's also a quarterback you cannot fully contain because he will break it out. And that's what they'll have to do. They'll have to find ways to balance the rushing attack of Cook and Allen, as well as Allen throwing the ball. Now, with Kincaid maybe not be able to go with a hamstring, that could hamper things for the Bills offensive-wise. This is just one of these very unique franchises that can hamper you. Right now, analytics likes Buffalo at 52%. The line has it 3.5. Can the Texans corral the Bills? I think that's what everyone's going to have on their minds. I am iffy on this pick. Houston right now number third in the South. Need this win to keep in pace with the Colts, keep pace with the Jaguars, keep pace for a wild card berth. Buffalo needs to keep pace with the Patriots. They keep finding ways to win. I am so iffy about this one because I want to pick Houston being at home, and I also want to pick Buffalo because I think they're definitely the better team, but Buffalo's showing that they've struggled. But this is a good team. Anytime they face a good team, Buffalo seems to rise. So I'm going to take the Bills But I'll probably take Houston for the points. So on Sunday, we get to head over to the Windy City as the Bears take on Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Aaron Rodgers coming right now. He's questionable with his non-throwing hand injury, so we'll see if that transpires into anything in particular. But you have some other issues with Highsmith with the pectoral issue. Warren is main running back with ankleage issue. Darius Slay, cornerback with concussion. So there's definitely some nuances with the Steelers as a whole. Of course, by the time I'm recording this video on a Wednesday, the game's not till Sunday, things will definitely change between here and there. But look at this. Caleb Williams has found ways to be a very decent quarterback. Over 2,300 yards, 13 touchdowns, 4 picks. He's not flashing with big bombs. He's getting you with some key runs, some key passes. He's taking what the defenses are giving him. Offensive line's doing just enough. DeAndre Swift, over 600 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns. Definitely need to work on that rushing attack a little bit more. Donze has really kind of stepped up this season, 600 yards even with 6 touchdowns. And that's where it's going to kind of be is which could the experienced Rodgers and part owner of the Bears, who was long tenure in Green Bay and owning the Bears, literally. Can they continue the trajectory they've had so far of just edging out these victories? I mean, had that last-second field goal against Minnesota, won against 4 points against the Giants, had that comeback touchdown against the Bengals. I mean, you had the same thing with the Raiders. They had to block a field goal to win. I mean, it's striking how this team kind of goes. And you look at the Steelers; they are pretty inconsistent. They'll have a one good game like they did last week, 34-12. They won, but they lost the previous week to the Chargers and squeaking past the Colts after like a 2-game stretch where they couldn't win. So, which version of the Steelers are going to show up? Can the Cardiac Bears continue their last second heroics, or are they going to have that stumble like they did against Baltimore? I think that's where it kind of elevates, and right now analytics like Chicago at 50%. The lines favor Chicago at 3. Just like the Buffalo and Houston game, I am uneasy about this one as well because I have been doubting Chicago and then winning and picking Chicago when they do win. So it's hard for me to kind of look at this, trying to figure out which way I want to go with this particular pick because I thought last week they're going to lose in Minnesota and end up winning. Everything tells me to go Pittsburgh, but I'm taking Chicago to win at home and getting the revenge on Aaron Rodgers. I head to the jungle of Cincinnati as the Bengals play host to the Patriots. I don't really see much of anything. This team has been interesting with Flacco at the helm, but not the same. And right now, Drake May is having an MVP-style season. Over 2,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, 5 picks. Phenomenal numbers. The way this team has been operating on their variable, the defense has really stepped up. I mean, the New England looks like almost the New England of old almost. And the analytics like them at 59%. The line's at 5.5. I had no issues with this. I don't think Cincinnati's going to have many wins remaining in the season, and this is definitely going to be one of them. Patriots. Now, Minnesota will head to Green Bay and see if they can rebound in the NFC North, because right now they find themselves at the bottom looking up, not a position they were at last year when they had Sam Darnold leading the charge when J.J. was out. Carson Wentz did a decent job. J.J. McCarthy's back. He's kind of struggling a bit here and there. And the only thing that's going to really help the Vikings is Josh Jacobs right now is questionable with his knee. So you limit that rushing attack that the Packers have, but then you still have Jordan Love who's going to find ways. I mean, he has over 2,400 yards passing, 15 touchdowns, 3 picks. He just gives what the defenses take him, and the defense has been all right. I mean, the offenses for the Packers has been kind of lackluster. Struggle against the Giants, ended up winning. On the score, touchdown against Philadelphia, but the defense kept it close. Struggle against Carolina, lost on the last second field goal. Coughed up 25 to Pittsburgh, but ended up winning by 10. Edged out Arizona, held on basically towards the end of that game. So there's definitely some issues with the Packers. Sometimes they'll find just enough energy to get over the hump. Other times they just can't do it. Minnesota's going to challenge Green Bay. I have no question about that. But can they do enough to get past the Packers at Lambeau? That's the big question. Analytics say no. They favor the Pack at 71%. The line's at 6. I agree with both assessments. I think Green Bay is going to be able to get past Minnesota and continue Minnesota's woes this year. Now it's time to head back to the Music City as now the Titans will play host to the Seattle Seahawks. Her coming off of that very close loss to the Rams. Tennessee it's a mess of a franchise this particular year. They just can't seem to get anything going. Calvin Ridley is now gone for the season. Broken fever. I mean, they've had issues with that entire receiving core. Cam Ward hasn't really lived up to the hype yet, maybe because his offensive line's not giving him time. The receiver's not there. When he has time and the receivers are catching, he does put up good numbers. But those have been few and far between because he only has 1,900 yards, 6 TDs and picks. Well, Darnold, over 2,500 yards, 17 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. That's what you have to worry about. And then the dual running attack of Seattle as well really helps them out. Continue that one, led by Walker with over 600 yards, 4 touchdowns. As long as that Seahawks defense recreates that Legion of Boom and kind of come up with a new variant of that defense, Tennessee's going to have a very, very long day. I don't expect to see many fans at Nissan Stadium because this is going to be a one-sided affair. Seahawks analytics, a favorite 76%. Being a little dyslexic here. The line's at 12.5. Normally I push back against the line. Not this time. New. Like I said, Tennessee is that bad, and I no question with that. Seattle all the way. Now time head to Arrowhead, where the struggling Chiefs will take on the surprising 8-2 Indianapolis Colts. The Chiefs are 5-5. They're sitting 9th overall in the AFC. They have a long hill to climb up. Mahomes starting to pick up his receivers, starting finding ways. He has over 2,600 yards passing, touchdown, 6 picks. Kelsey's becoming his number one target now. He didn't in the beginning of the season. Now he is becoming that. Hunt is his leading rusher. His Pacquiao is going to be back out again with MCL. That will kind of hamper that rushing attack with Kansas City. Jones, over 2,600 yards passing, 15 touchdowns, 7 picks. Taylor comes out of the backfield. He's already at over 1,100 yards rushing with 15 touchdowns. And that's going to be a key focal point of the Chiefs' defense, is to stop Jonathan Taylor out of that backfield. Good luck with that. But Karlaftis is going to probably be one of those key aspects. Eagles hard today to try to corral Taylor and make the Colts a one-dimensional team and have Daniel Jones, should I say, actually trying to beat him in the air. That could spell poison for him. But Indianapolis has struggled the past couple of weeks. Had to go overtime to beat Atlanta in Germany. Lost in Pittsburgh. So maybe the bubble's kind of bursted with the Colts. And the Chiefs have lost back-to-back games, something they haven't done in a long time. A very close matchup, so they're looking to try to shed that moniker off of them and get back on the winning track and make a run. I mean, I think they have to win the last 7 games really have a chance to get in the playoffs, or at least the vast majority of them. Analytics favor the Chiefs at 61%. The line likes them at 3.5. I think the Chiefs are going to come out here to prove a point that they're still here and to watch out for the Chiefs, because if the Chiefs make the playoffs, it's going to be a different story. Kansas City in postseason, it's a different animal. But I like the Chiefs winning at home, try to get back on that winning track. Now time to head to Baltimore as Lamar Jackson play host to New York Jets. And the Jets is just another franchise that's just struggling once again. I don't think Justin Fields is the right choice for him. Unfortunately for Justin Fields, his tenure in the pros hasn't been very good. He had like one good season in Chicago, and that's when he ran for 1,000 yards. So I have a feeling that this tenure might be in and up pretty quickly. And with the possibility of Pittsburgh losing, I mean, I did pick him against the Bears. It gives a chance for Baltimore to tie with Pittsburgh for the top of that division. And Lamar Jackson coming back, 1,400 yards so far, 15 touchdowns, 3 picks. Henry's having 800 yards rushing, 7 touchdowns. He had that game winner last week against Cleveland. You've seen how the 3 games that Lamar's been back, they've scored at minimum 23 points a game. The defense has let no more than 19 points. And I think that's going to spell doom for the Jets. They had a 2-game winning streak. Kudos to them. I think they're back on the losing streak again. I think the Jets going to come crashing into Baltimore. Analytics like them 81%. Lines at 14.5. I have no quarrels with neither one of these in Baltimore. Now, Shedeur Sanders will get the starting nod for the Cleveland Browns as they head to Allegiant Stadium to take on the Raiders. I am not really expecting much at this game whatsoever. Geno, I don't know what's wrong with the Raiders' passing attack. I mean, Geno doesn't look the same as he did previously in Seattle. Doesn't look the same like he used to be under Pete Carroll. Only 2,000 yards, 12 touchdowns, but 13 picks. Max Crosby can do all that he wants. Myles Garrett is another huge factor. I think he's going to be Defensive Player of the Year. He already has 15 sacks in the season. He's going to make Geno Smith day feel very, very bad. Junkins seen a little bit better season so far than Genty, but that's just because I think Chip Kelly is just a major problem of this Raiders team because he's the offensive coordinator and nothing seems to be working right now with the Raiders offense. I mean, they had that great game against Jacksonville back on the 2nd, and that's been it. They had just been inept. And you looked at Cleveland, they've had a great game against Miami, but now that Gabriel is out, Shedeur Sanders is getting the starting nod. You didn't put that good numbers up against Baltimore. Baltimore going to come from behind and win 23-16. I don't know. Analytics right now has picked the Raiders at 63%. The line has it at 3 as well for Vegas. I don't know. This is another game. It's not because these are 2 good teams. These are 2 bad teams. Every time I have a problem with a game, the teams are very similar in playing style and record or whatnot. So trying to find a way to find which way to kind of lean towards this is which defensive line do I trust more? Do I trust the Raiders more or trust the Browns more? Both of them will cause problems. But the Cleveland secondary has been the main issue. And Geno's given time. Maybe he can find those receivers if his receivers will actually catch the ball. I think Shedeur Sanders will put up some numbers in this game, being his first start. But I don't think it's going to be enough. I am uneasy with this pick as well. But I am taking the Raiders just because they're at home. That's the only reason why. Well, let's head down to a little further south and head to Glendale, Arizona, as the Cardinals play host to the Jaguars. And Jaguars against Jacksonville just lit them up. I mean, they had a great game against Houston too, but their defense just faltered and the offense also started playing. And the Cardinals for the past 2 weeks have been inept. Pretty much been doubled up, allowing 40-plus points, only scoring 22. I don't see much really happening between there. Even though the offense tends to run better with Jacoby Brissett in charge, but these past 2 games have not been very good for that defense. And if Jacksonville can repeat what he did last week, they should have no issues in Arizona. Right now, analytics favor the Jags at 53%. The line's at 2.5. I like both of those. I do think Arizona will probably make this game just because they're at home. Like I said, Jacoby Brissett does make things kind of interesting. Jacksonville does have a tendency to fall apart towards the end of the game. So maybe they get far enough ahead and they start to collapse later. It doesn't affect them that much then. But I am taking Jacksonville to win on the road. Let's not head to Big D or Dallas Cowboys. First off with their shellacking of the Raiders, come home to host the defending Super Bowl champs, the Philadelphia Eagles, in a NFC East clash. That's not going to have really much factor in anything because Philly is leading Dallas by 3.5 games, and I don't see that changing much. I do think Philadelphia will win some more games. They probably will lose a couple. Dallas probably win some more games and just miss the playoffs. That's just my opinion how the season goes. Because Jalen Hurts is not really putting up that much big numbers in the air. Almost 2,000 yards, 60 touchdowns in the pick. Saquon comes out of the backfield over 660 with 4 touchdowns. Dak over 2,500 yards passing, 21 touchdowns, 6 picks. He's putting up decent numbers himself. Williams out of that backfield over 800 yards, 8 touchdowns. So the Dallas offense is definitely showing much improvement overall. So that defense is going to be a key issue for the Philadelphia Eagles. But they've had great defensive features against Detroit and Green Bay, where they kept them to a single-digit point. And Dallas defense, I mean, has been hit and miss. Only allowed 16 against the Raiders, 27 to the Cardinals, 44 to the Broncos, or 44 to the Broncos, excuse me. So if Jalen Hurts can find ways to break out and find ways to get to his receivers, including Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, to really help out, stretch this Cowboys offense, and that secondary tends to be a bit sus. But right now, and it looks like Philly at 56%. The line has it at 4. I don't know. With it being a NFC East showdown, I'm taking Dallas to get past Philadelphia and sneak past a victory. Get their fans all excited. You start hearing all the Cowboys start talking about Super Bowl runs. But I think this might be one of the last hurdles the Eagles will have this season. But I am going to give the slight edge to the Cowboys. Now time head over to the Big Easy, where Atlanta comes into town, and Penix out. They had a season-ending injury with a torn ACL in his left knee. Ouch. Ouch. So they're going back to Kirk Cousins. It took me a long time to figure out who the heck this backup was. And you see the past 2 games, they lost in overtime in both games. I mean, but this, Saints last win, they went into New Orleans and snuck out with a victory. Rattler is having decent numbers. I mean, he's not flashy. It's like Caleb Williams, not very flashy quarterback. Only 1,500 yards, 8 touchdowns, 5 picks. Alvin Kamara's only 400-plus yards, 1 touchdown. Definitely got to remedy that whatsoever. They got to get that rushing attack more because Bijan Robinson for the Falcons comes out of the backfield over 780 yards on the ground, 4 touchdowns. But there's a lot of question marks, doubtfuls for the Atlanta Falcons. I almost went Hawks because it's NBA season. Analytics likes Atlanta at 54%. They give Atlanta an advantage of 3 points. I'm taking the Saints. I don't know. I don't know if Kirk Cousins is going to be the answer for the Falcons to maybe save that season. Because you look at the point, these are the two bottom teams of the South. They're looking up at Carolina and Tampa Bay. I don't think there's enough season left for them to leap over maybe Carolina or Tampa Bay at any point in time. But, it's one of these things that you have to look at, and it's struggling, but I'm going to go with the Saints. Huge showdown Sunday night as the Buccaneers had the SoFi to take on the Rams. That's right, Baker Mayfield heads back to the Rams. Remember, he had spent part of a season. I mean, he got traded and started pretty much the next day for the Rams and then winning that game. The Rams struggled past couple of games. I mean, 42-26 victory against the 49ers, not really a struggle. But, a good fight against the Seahawks and then winning. And the Buccaneers have lost 2 in a row, 3 to the last 4. Every time they seem to face a good team, that's when they lose. So they got to find ways to buckle down and go after someone. And Baker Mayfield leading the charge for Tampa Bay with over 2,300 yards passing, 17 touchdowns, 3 picks. White comes out of the backfield over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. Matthew Stafford being a quiet old man, 2,500-plus yards, 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Definitely another one on that MVP name list. Williams comes out of the backfield over 750 yards and 6 touchdowns. Puka Nacua is going to be a hard thing to kind of stop for the Buccaneers defense, as he has 150 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns. And it's going to be a thing for that Buccaneers offensive line to try to stop Brian Young, who has 9 sacks so far this season, to keep him away from Baker and allow the rushing attack kind of do. But the thing with Tampa Bay, they keep games close. At least they did at the beginning of the season. Things kind of shifted a bit. They don't want to have the same thing they did with Detroit and Buffalo, those 2 games that kind of got away from them. But, I think they can keep it in there. But right now, analytics likes the Rams at 64%. The lines that favor the Rams at 6.5. This one, I'm going to go buck the trend. I am going Tampa Bay to pull up a shocker in L.A. Not to say that the Rams are not any good whatsoever. I mean, I think they're definitely a playoff team. They're going to definitely team to worry about making the Super Bowl. But I think Tampa Bay's probably got 1 or 2 more shocking wins in their season. I think this is going to be that one of those games. And it gets them back in control. Try to keep ahead of Carolina in that Southern Division crown. But I'll give, like I said, Bucks sneaking past the Rams. And speaking of Carolina, the 6-5 Panthers head to Levi to take on the 7-4 49ers. As you'll see how Brock Purdy continues his return. I mean, he had that great game against Arizona, and I do expect the game to really kind of pick up for him. Christian McCaffrey is a huge factor of this team. Over 1,400 combined yards, over 11 touchdowns combined. So the Panthers defense is going to have a hard time trying containing Christian McCaffrey. He's going to be a huge factor in that one. If you're going to stop Brock Purdy, you don't have to worry about Matt Jones coming in and replacing him, because the team doesn't seem to miss a beat. Doesn't matter which quarterback is on the field. Now, some of their receiving core being a little thin does kind of hamper the 49ers a bit, but I do think that they will find ways to get in there and make their presence known. That defense is really kind of stepping up a bit. I mean, yeah, they coughed up, a lot of points to the Rams, 22 against the Cardinals. But I think they're able to do that. And Bryce Young right now is really having a renaissance for his NFL career. I mean, he had his best game last week against the Falcons in his career. But he has over 1,900 yards passing, 14 touchdowns, 7 picks. Donald comes out of backfield over 800 yards, 5 touchdowns. So definitely things to try to worry about with that Panthers offense as well. But analytics like San Francisco at 73%. The Lions at 6.5. I'll take Carolina for the points. I do think the Panthers will make this a close contest. Just because they have a little tenacity to them. They have a little bite, a little moxie. And I think that's going to play evidence in there because, like I said, look at the past few games. Besides that games against Buffalo and New Orleans, they were fighting. But this is going to be a very, very decent 49ers team, I think, almost on the same level as the Buffalo. So I think Carolina probably will struggle for a bit, but I do think they'll be able to come back, make this a little bit of a contest. I mean, I doubt if, it's a 20-point victory, but going 49ers. What does this future me? As I was doing the final edits, I realized I skipped over one particular game. And that's the G-Men visiting the Motor City, take on the Lions. Not really much to go about this one. A lot of question marks for the G-Men right now because of injuries and coaching. But analytics favor the Lions at 70%. The Lions at 11.5. They're looking at Jared Goff, who's coming up with his own MVP-style numbers, almost 2,500 yards passing, 21 TDs, 4 picks. Jabari Gibbs, over 730 yards, 8 touchdowns coming out of the backfield. Like I said, the Giants are just a scattered mess right now. And I don't really see much in the way of this. I think Detroit should have a decent time. It shocked me how well the Giants played both Chicago and Green Bay, but beyond that, I don't see them coming back. I think Detroit's going to come back, find their offensive mojo once again, which was lacking against Philadelphia, and they'll come away with the victory. There you go. Those were my picks. I pretty much didn't stray too much away from the picks. There's a few games that I'm kind of uneasy about. There's a few that actually went against the grain and try to pick some upsets, especially at Tampa Bay. I think that's more of an upset. Like I said, the Thursday night game I'm sure of. The game in Chicago I'm unsure of. The game in Vegas I'm unsure of. So if you're doing, parlays, avoid those 3 games. Because I think they can go either way, no matter how that works. But now look at this week as you'll see some teams start to really separate, try and get their point in trying to establish themselves. Right now, Chicago's looking really good. Indianapolis is looking good. New England, Denver, Jacksonville's starting to put some pressure on. The Ravens are starting to come alive. So as the season progresses, you'll see the pretenders and the contenders start to separate. Or injuries that affected teams at the wrong point in the season really start to affect them. Well, let me know down below what you think, which game you think got wrong. Is your team still in the hunt for the playoffs? Or do you think they have a shot at the Super Bowl? Or are they trying to go for that first-round pick in the draft? Let's mix it up. Comments below. The more we mix it up, the better. Boost the YouTube algorithm. The almighty YouTube algorithm that you must pay homage to ensure our frontal cortexes are overloaded with sensations and information that we can hardly digest, including an old man rambling about football or just watching cats and dog videos. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up. Greatly appreciate it. To first support this channel, you can subscribe. I mean, if you do, it doesn't cost you a dime. You click that subscribe button, smash that bell icon, turn on notifications so next time I post any more content on my channel. Now, see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.